Are we all ready? Then let us begin. Kimblitz is here, and we're hitting the ground running. It's always nice to start with a classic action-packed shoot-fest of a game, and Super C is as good as any. In fact, believe it or not, it's probably my favourite of all the Contra games. Contra games are as simple as they are bloodthirsty. You run, you jump, and you kill. They are perhaps the best examples of a video game sprint. They're short and fast and you never stop moving. At no point do you take any kind of a break. They'd be over in about 20 minutes tops if it wasn't for one little thing, that being of course their legendary difficulty. You die in one hit, and these games will never stop trying to kill you. Most of the classic Contra games are keepers for sure, but Super C for me just has the edge, and of course it has to be the NES version. Though a lot of the NES's arcade ports are famous for being rather different to their originals, the Contra games are for the most part identical in terms of gameplay, usually with only a couple of little bits added, but they've long surpassed the arcade versions. Maybe it's that iconic opening scene when your super soldier drops into the heat of battle by a helicopter. Maybe it's the sound effects. This is quite possibly one of the loudest games in existence, with every shot from a gun punching you in both ears in, well, sort of a nice way. And what might get lost in the din of the arcade sure as hell doesn't get lost at home. Maybe it's the music. It's a Konami game, so you would expect good music as a rule, but this one just takes the biscuit. The first level theme and boss themes and pretty much everything else are just flawless, even better than the already brilliant soundtrack from the first game. Super C isn't a huge deviation from that first game, of course. The graphics, weapons and the like are all pretty much the same, with the only major change being that the corridor stages from the first game are replaced by top-down shooter stages, which honestly I prefer. But you'll still be fighting through bases, jungles, installments and so forth, 8 areas in all, until you get to the heart of the alien itself. The only time you'll see a wall that you can't get past is at the end of the game. But even if it's not doing much different from the first game, it's just that little bit louder and better. It might have something to do with me being a bit better at it, of course. I've never been all that good at the original Contra, whereas I can get pretty far with this one. Hell, I can actually complete Super C, even if like most people I'll need the good old 30 lives code to do it. But yeah, Contra just works in general. Going back to the sprinting thing, I always find it's one of the more fun games to watch someone play, especially when someone's really freaking good at it, as in the case of speedruns. It's a short one, like a 100-metre dash that is almost entirely about execution, with only the slightest hints of RNG and what have you. Watching someone wipe the floor with the game in under 15 minutes or so is pathetic, and honestly, pretty impressive. Such levels aren't attainable without hundreds of hours of work, of course, but I get the impression that something like Super C wouldn't ever get boring in that time. It might wear someone down, but boring? Nah. It wouldn't have the time to become boring. If you're bored when playing Super C, well, you may as well be dead. I've often covered these somewhat rickety offshoots and ports of Contra on this channel, you know, the Spectrum version, the Amiga version of this game and so forth. But, you know, it's pretty good to finally get to the real deal. Justifiably a classic, one of my favourite NES games, and while NES heads may go on about it as a nigh-on perfect game in terms of design to the point of tedium, they only do so because, well, it's just that freaking good. And it's a bloody good way to kick off the Kimblitz. See you tomorrow!